Hi everyone, if you are a student of sterile processing, and especially for my students watching, I just want to demonstrate what we're talking about, our qualification testing for the autoclave. But before we go to qualification testing, I just want to tell you guys about some of the quality assurance tests that is run on this pre-vacuum sterilizer. So what you're looking at right now is a pre-vacuum steam autoclave. It uses moist steam as our sterilant of choice for this. It's cheaper, it's efficient, it leaves no chemical residue on the instruments after sterilization. So this is what our chamber looks like. And this is a gasket that seals up this chamber during the sterilization process. Before we start our day, we have to run quality assurance tests on this autoclave. Once a week, as per our policy, we run our leak test on this chamber right here. This is the sterilization chamber. And in order for sterilization to occur in a chamber, in a pre-vacuum sterilizer, it has to happen with the absence of air in the sterilizer. For pre-vacuum sterilizers, the way that air is displaced from the sterilizer is using vacuum pumps. Over here that you don't see clearly is a drain strainer. During the conditioning phase of this autoclave of the sterilization process, it sucks out air from this chamber, leaving a vacuum in here. Before that time of sterilization, conditioning phase, and steam contact the instrument happens, we have to run a Bowie-Dick test. This is what a Bowie-Dick test looks like. This is a class 2 chemical indicator. This test is done to check the exhaust of air from the autoclave. We use this test to find out if our autoclave is sucking air out. So in order to do this, the first load you run in the morning for your sterilization cycle, if you work in a hospital, the first shift that works overnight, every 24 hours before any load is ran on this pre-vacuum sterilizer, you have to run your Bowie-Dick test. This Bowie-Dick test is produced by the company 3M. You might have other Bowie-Dick test class 2 chemical indicators manufactured by other manufacturers. We use 3M Bowie-Dick test, and this is an air removal test. You insert this Bowie-Dick test packet right over your drain stream where air escapes the autoclave. This autoclave door is now shut and a Bowie-Dick test is ran. Depending on the manufacturer instruction, you go by the parameters on the Bowie-Dick test. After this test is ran, you have to open it up. Your test result for past Bowie-Dick test, which indicates that there has been a total escape of air from the autoclave, will look like an even black coloration across the packet, across this sheet that comes out of this packet. A failed Bowie-Dick test result, however, will give you what it looks like with a little gray area in the middle of this packet. So this result has failed. This is a Bowie-Dick failed test result. So putting them side by side, you see what a Bowie-Dick test that has passed compared to what has failed. If you have this failure, it shows that air is not adequately pulled from this chamber, thereby leaving air within the chamber. It means you cannot sterilize the load for that day. The next step is to call your manager or supervisor. Let them know that air is not escaping and the Bowie-Dick test failed. There are a couple of factors affecting that. You might have a clogged drain stream that is clogged and not allowing air to properly escape this. That's why you need to check your drain strainer on a daily basis. And my advice is check it on every shift. If you work in a hospital, make sure you pull out the drain strainer to check it every shift or on a daily basis and make sure it's not clogged. And that might lead to wet pack as well. So that's the culprit sometimes, or it might be some piping issue, or the problem might be way down to the boiler system built in this pre-vacuum sterilizer. That is your quality assurance test for your autoclave before any load for the day starts to run on your pre-vacuum autoclave. Usually, it is recommended to run a biological test pack on your first load of the day. In order to ensure what we sterilize met recommendation from the manufacturer, we need to have quality assurance tests to monitor our sterilization load in here. And what are those quality assurance tests? We need to have a physical monitor, right? We need to monitor our autoclave physically by looking at this monitor over here. We also have a physical printout that we monitor to track the phases of sterilization. We also need to have a chemical indicator to show that steam has reached, whether external or internal. This is an internal type 5 chemical integrating indicator that shows that steam actually got to the crevices of the tray or instrument. And third, for your first load, also have a process challenge device. This is a process challenge device. The definition is in the name. It challenges the sterilization process by testing the efficacy of steam. This is what it looks like before it gets into the autoclave. You notice that yellow indicator on the outside, and this is what it looks like when it has been exposed to steam. You notice that the yellow color has changed to what? Black up here, because this has been exposed to steam. For testing purposes, this was ran on a rejected cycle, so we just wanted to make sure that it's not working properly. Within this process challenge device, you have a type 5 chemical integrated indicator. You also have a biological ampoule that is loaded with a Geobacillus sterile thermophilus spore. This is the spore of choice for all sterilization cycles, with the exception of ethylene oxide that uses Bacillus atrophius. With this spore, the Geobacillus in here that is embedded within this process challenge device is a heat-loving, harmless bacteria. It is the hardest to kill. The rationale of running this bacteria within your load is to measure how well the steam might kill microorganisms. And if this dies, which is the hardest to kill heat-loving bacteria, we presume that everything else in here might die along, depending if it's properly clean. Sterilization is never guaranteed. That's why we have to put all of these quality assurance tests. Your process challenge device that has an integrating indicator and has a biological indicator to test the efficacy of the load. So within here, you have a type 5 chemical integrated indicator, and you have your Geobacillus spore. Let's open this fill packet to show you what it should look like and what a passing indicator should look like when you open it up. So let's pop this open. And I want you to see on the side how thick of a paper that makes it very challenging for steam to actually enter. Do you see the thickness of this paper over here? This is how thick it is. Imagine steam penetrating this packet just to get into the middle of this packet to change the color. What's on the inside? You see this ampoule, which is impregnated with a Geobacillus spore. This is what's inside of this packet. This is why it's called a process challenge device, because you want this to challenge the efficacy of the steam sterilizer. Do you notice the chemical integrating indicator in here? We already knew it was going to fail, but we ran a biological anyway. So look to see where it says accept. The black indicator die should have crossed and gone to the green side, but it did not make it, showing that it's a fail result. So most likely if I run this biological, it's going to show that there's still growth of Geobacillus in here. After you do that, you have to record everything. For sterilization, record keeping is mandatory and not optional. You have to record the good, the bad, and the ugly. We have to record that our load failed, and we have to do another quality test after. Right now, this machine is shut down for maintenance, for repair, because we call it in for repair because we have our Bowick test failing today. So that's enough information on your quality testing or your quality assurance test. When this has been repaired, pipings and everything, and put them back together, we have to run a qualification test on our pre-vacuum sterilizer. How does that work? For your qualification test for this pre-vacuum sterilizer, we need to run 3 consecutive process challenge devices. That means we have to put a biological test in here and run an empty load 3 times, followed by 3 consecutive Bowick tests on this. And all of them should pass. Our biological test should pass in its 3 phases. Our Bowick test, which is the class 2 chemical indicator, should pass on the 3 trials. And after that, our autoclave is now qualified to run loads over the day. And it's also advised, if you're just coming into sterile processing, every medical implant has to be ran with a biological indicator and a type 5 chemical integrated indicator. Better still, grab a pre-manufactured test pack process challenge device with all of your implant loads for sterile processing. Thank you so much.